Welcome, everybody. This is the first recording of what I hope will be a series of recordings with people that I've really wanted to interview. And it's going to be under the banner of what I'm calling common ground. And what I mean by that is to really start to share just a few conversations around, well, what do we share with each other? What's our common humanity? What do we share with the natural world that brings us together? And today I'm really delighted that I have my colleague and friend, ecological forest school trainer, years and years of experience of working with all sorts of groups in nature, John Cree. And we're going to be talking just for probably about 10 minutes or so about his recent trip to the Kalahari. So I'm so excited about that because the bush people have been close to my heart for many, many years. So welcome, John.
Thank you, and thanks for inviting me. I feel honoured to be on this first of your many podcasts. So, yeah.
Thank you, John. I know that we really share a lot in our practice, this idea of gratitude. So what I'd like to do before we go into any questions and just asking you some questions about your recent trip is just to share a little bit of gratitude. And I wondered whether you would start us off with just a little bit of thankfulness before we start.
Yeah, I think what comes to mind at the moment is I'm just really grateful to have my family around me in these times because we're all in self-isolation, and I've been really lucky this week to have with my eldest daughter, her partner, and Jude, my partner here, just sharing that, and the sun is shining, and then had this whole family of blue tits come into the garden this morning that just lit my world up a little bit. So it's just that family, both human family, but also the nature family, just here, just around, grounding me in this time of crisis. So yeah, that's my bit of gratitude for today.
Yeah, thank you. Well, I'm going to just express gratitude to the people that you've been spending some time with. So to the people that have been inhabiting our planet for a long, long time. That might be the bushmen, but all the people that hold the old knowledge. I'm really grateful that they're still with us and they're able to share those teachings with us. And they've certainly informed my life and other people's lives, and actually probably everyone's lives without actually realizing it. So I'm just sending out that gratitude as well. And yeah, in these extraordinary times.
Yeah.
So, well, we're only having a short interview, but I am looking forward to hearing your stories later on in a longer format. But for now, you've just come back from the Kalahari Desert, and I would just love to hear some of the experiences or thoughts from that place, and perhaps some of the things that we might harvest from that, being in another part of the world in a different society. I wonder if you could just share some of that wisdom or some of that experience with us.
Okay. Let's just start start off with the experience, I guess. It was absolutely amazing to be in the middle of this huge wilderness. So the part of the Kalahari we were in extends for miles and miles and miles, bigger than Wales almost, I guess. And we spent some time with this community of San bushmen, bush people. And they're the last of the master trackers, really. They have a direct lineage going back, was it 20 odd thousand years to when Homo sapiens, started to become persistent hunters. So it was just amazing to be out in that wilderness and not in touch with my contemporary world, for a change. Apart from, we had our screens out occasionally, taking pictures, but that was it. And only the odd pictures as well. It's just lovely to be in that timeless place and to go out tracking with the trackers every day, but then to spend time in the village with grass huts and our little tents, um, just really being with them and playing with them and listening to them, and listening to each other. And we did become one whole community. There was about 18 of us and just over 20 of the San there, um, in this hot sun, but in this green desert. It was green. The first rains for almost 4 years. And suddenly the desert has greened up. There's just trees, flowers everywhere. Not what I was expecting. I was expecting this very dry, white environment, but we just got this green, hot desert, and it was a bearable heat. And the main thing that I really lapsed into was just this timelessness that both the people and the place had. Wasn't aware of what day we were on, what time we were on. We more or less knew what time in the day. Then the only way of keeping track of the days for me was seeing the moon change at night. So that gives you a feel of what the experience was like, and just this chance to slow down, because they, particularly the Bushmen, they really do slow down. They don't have a concept of work necessarily, although they do have, what surprised me is they do have a foot a bit in our camp, as well as their old way. And we just rested when we needed to rest, and when it got to the height of the day, like in any climates like that, it was time to really slow. And even when we went out tracking, it wasn't running, none of the running that you expect with tracking or anything like that, because they are hunting. It was just this slow walk, and the tracking for me became a walking meditation, really. In many ways, you just dropped into the here and now, and that was something that really I got from the Bushmen and the Bushwomen, is they very much live in the moment. They don't have a huge concept of the past, and not necessarily thinking so much about the future, but they just are very much a here and now people. And in that here and now, being alert to their needs, everybody else's needs. So that was something that I brought back big time, really, was this timelessness, and this just really being with the moment. There's a lot of talked about mindfulness and all the rest of it, and it's like we have these little sessions of mindfulness. I've got my daughter at the moment, she's just doing her own meditation for the day, but it's just like it's in their bodies. They're meditating all the time, but not in the way that we do, but they're just there with it totally. So yeah, that's one of the big lessons that I brought back, really. It's just, how do we embody that all the time?
I wonder, as a society that is so used to buying things and doing, and find it really hard to be in the moment, I wonder whether you saw some of the ingredients of how we could do more of that. I mean, I get a sense that when you say people, they're not working, it's not a sense of laziness,
No.
is it?
No, not at all. It's not a sense of laziness, but they have this. We did have a good chat. I had a good chat to one of the elders amongst the group, who spoke good English, who does have his foot in both camps, and he said, "Well, life is just life is living." As he was blowing, and you might have seen the picture I put up on Facebook. He's blowing this little ember to colour an elephant that he's carved out of the camphor wood, which also happens to be the tree that provides the grub, that provides the poison for their arrows and all the rest of it. Everything's connected out there. It's just so amazing. And I was chatting to Dum, and I said, "What's this thing about the sun and not really believing in work, or thinking that work's a funny thing?" He said, "Well, life is just living, isn't it? You don't. Why do you have to work and earn lots of money to buy things that you don't need? I just don't get it, really." um, our problem today is not so much buying things we don't need. What we're on the cusp, because often we can't get the food that we need to live by, which is very different from buying things that we don't need. Um, so we just don't have that. Um, and it is what you're saying about just we have to get money to buy things. Okay, we do have sectors of society actually need money to buy food, and that's what they dealing with in this day and age because of lack of access to land and game, which has got less and less, and all the rest of it. So they have got their foot in both camps because they're becoming more settled. They're not so nomadic as they used to be, but still don't have this work concept.
There's a quality in what you're saying for me around trusting life. You know, trusting that things, that you will get what you need, you will have what you need. And there's also, from the things I've read and also know from what you've shared, is that sense of community. And I know that, you know, our work is about creating community in nature and providing that. And I wondered whether you really, well, I'm sure you felt that sense of community, and how, and I'm linking that with something around our feelings of fear and, you know, needing to hoard and buy, as opposed to what the elder said was about living, and being together. And when, if you've got anything to share that you experience from that.
Yeah. I'm just wondering whether the background conversations are interrupting us.
No.
No, not at all. Okay, no. Sorry, I've interrupted the whole thing. I was just conscious of there was just definitely this whole sense of community. I mean, even though this community was created, it's a bit like a Louis Lieberman, who's the anthropologist who's been heading up the, if you like, the need to preserve these most ancient cultures, has set up this community with the community for us to arrive, and some were staying on. So it was a temporary thing, but it didn't feel like that. As soon as we walked in, you just got this, oh my God, they've been living here for years, except they just set it up 2 weeks before. They built the huts. They cleared the ground, they got the firewood going, all the rest of it, which I guess is traditionally what they do. They move from place to place, and then they set up their communities for a few years, and then they move on and all the rest of it. So I just got that as soon as we walked in. Oh my goodness, this is already a ready-made community. They've had to move it because of the rains, because we couldn't get to their old community. And it just dropped straight into this humble, relaxed way of doing it. There was no big welcome that you get from some native groups, if you like, indigenous groups. But these in particular, it was just a very humble handshake as we went in and went about their day, and we sort of just slotted into that without, as you say, without any possessions, apart from the jewelry they make from the oyster, from the ostrich shell. And they do make these and sell them. And most of that money that they get from that goes into healthcare and food. That's it, really. It's their biggest issue that they face out there is TB. So it's a big TB clinic, which we were putting money into while we were over there too. But you just get this timeless sense of everybody's just there together in this community that doesn't need the material stuff that we have, because they have the bush, they have the Kalahari, they have this deep empathy, even though they're hunting these animals. They have an amazing empathy for them. They really understand how they move, how they behave. That was just they could see exactly what had happened to one of the little deer that was shot and how it was moving, and there was a reverence in just following it and knowing exactly what it was doing. So it wouldn't be, even though they're going to eat it and they've killed it, there's still an empathy there in terms of the way they identify with that, and the tubers that they collect. The stuff that's under the desert was amazing that they showed us, and the way they harvested it, that was all part of that community. You could see that that was their community. They respected it big time. So they'd only cut one little tuber without destroying the plant, so they come back the next year. And we went to one that had been cut before, and it was a slightly different shape from the one that had never been cut before, and they showed us all that. And it was just amazing how they just had this intuitive stuff in their bones that they knew they were part and parcel of the Kalahari.
I get a real sense of a really safe, in a way, knowing that if you look after the land, it will look after you.
Yeah, definitely.
And I kind of return to that, almost as we've discussed in other conversations, you know, how if we, well, it's about that if we look after the natural world, this is what we share, isn't it? The natural world together. If we look after the natural world, when we look after the natural world, we receive what the natural world gives us, and then there becomes this reciprocal relationship, which as a society we are moving hopefully towards, to understanding that, you know, we've been broken away from that, and it seems like it's a necessary time to come back to that. And I just wonder, because I know with us that we could talk for hours.
Yeah.
And we're probably already at our
We've gone over our 10 minutes, I think.
I'm not surprised. So I think that there's more to come, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we are putting we've got a little thing happening on April the 5th with you and your partner, Jeff. We're going to put some music to this story, and it will be much longer. And also it'll be better for it, because I've only been back 5 days, and it still needs to all land properly. So that will be our first webinar, if you like, which people can come to. And then I could see us extending this into a longer podcast. I mean, there was 18 of us. We're having our first Zoom meeting tomorrow because of what's happened and what's hit us since we've come back. So we haven't even had a chance to digest it, because as soon as we got into our 4-wheel drives to go away from the COVID crisis hit us, and we had to get back. We only got back by the skin of our teeth. If we'd stayed, we're due to stay at least another another 8 days or so. I'd have been stuck out there. Lots of people say, well, why didn't you stay out there? There's no COVID out there. But I've got family, as I said right at the beginning, back here. So yeah, there is a lot more to come, and a lot more to settle in, a lot more processing to be done, because it was quite a deep experience for me. It's the first time I've spent with a very, very old indigenous group, that old, the oldest on the planet, and lots of myths, even though I've done lots of reading, that just deconstructed in my mind completely. They all wear Western clothes, for example. Yeah. They've got this incredible humor, which I'd sort of been told about, but it was just, and we did become one, more or less. And even though we're only out there for, what was it, 10 days, by the end of it, we were one big community, West, and, you know, UK, and one guy from the States, Marcus, who's a renowned world tracker, who was blown away by it as well, and the Sun. It did feel like we just melded in one community, and that's what gives you hope, I guess. It's just knowing. And we had a Q&A on the last session, so I'll finish with this. with them. One of our lot asked, so what's your biggest hope for the world in all of this? What do you really think should happen, and what's the thing that would make life good? And they all answered to a T, understanding.
Yeah.
Like here, just understanding each other. It was a simple answer, but they wouldn't say any more than that. That was it. And it was just that simplicity said it all for me. Yeah.
Well, thank you, John. I'm going to let us all reflect on that and what that means, understanding each other and having understanding for nature, you know, and for people that are maybe different from us, and how we can cross those bridges to find that common ground that I talked about at the beginning. So thank you, and I'll see you on Sunday across the screens. We will definitely make a link to a Zoom to welcome your more stories from the Kalahari and whatever arises. And yes, you're lucky to see my husband Jeff playing a few songs from the Music of Trees. So we'll figure that out in the next few days, and take care. Thank you very
much. Take care, you too. See you on April 5th.
Yeah, bye.
Okay, bye.